Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Chip Over the Top Rugby Podcast. My name is Ryan. If you're new here, welcome. And if you've been here before, welcome back. Before we begin, make sure you give this video a thumbs up. And if you are new here, hit subscribe for more rugby content. Look, from the depths of despair, earlier this year, Welsh rugby was in turmoil. There were threats of player strikes. There was issues over the finances in Welsh rugby, and there still is to this day, but it's becoming a little bit more clearer as we move on. We now know where we stand. To qualifying prematurely already, before anyone else has, for the quarterfinals of the Rugby World Cup. Welsh rugby has been a roller coaster this year. Now look, I am slightly biased. Obviously, I am Welsh. I live here in America, but I am very, very much a proud Welshman, and I always will be. I'm a patriot through and through, even more so since moving to America, because I am far away from home. I'm away from my fellow countrymen. And this podcast has been a light for me because it's allowed me to express my opinions on the rugby world, not just in Wales, but in general, in particular on this Rugby World Cup thus far, but also, like I've said previously, if you've listened to the Spotify version of this podcast, you will know that I've touched upon not only the Six Nations, the men's, but the women's, and then what was going on behind the scenes in terms of the Welsh Rugby Union, the budgets, and I even wrote, it's funny, I even wrote an email, I think at the time, to Nigel Walker, like, what on earth is going on in Welsh rugby? And we've come on since then to look where we are right now. We are sitting top of Pool C. We have beaten the Wallabies emphatically 40 points to 6 in a record victory for Wales against them. It is the heaviest defeat for the Wallabies in a pool stage at a Rugby World Cup. And Wales are soaring. The Welsh Dragons are soaring from the depths of despair, and we are here. Now, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Obviously, there is still a job to do. Wales has to beat Georgia in the next game on October 7th to ensure we qualify as top of our group. Because if we don't, there's a possibility we face England. Now, I feel confident that we can beat England, and I'm also very confident that we can beat Argentina. But I think it'll be a lot easier of a run for Wales if we have to face Argentina and not England. But again, as a Welshman, I believe that we can do it. That team performance, and I say team performance because it wasn't just individual pieces of masterclass. There was 100%, but from 1 to 23, there was a clear marker put down in that performance against Australia, and I am so happy to see that finally come into fruition. There was question marks at the Six Nations. Can Wales score tries? Can we beat these teams? And I think finally the narrative is slowly changing. And there are still some naysayers out there, who will say that Fiji deserved to win. We were shit against Portugal. I've already touched upon those. Warren Gatland even said it. He said he felt that Wales were hard done by, that the press was against us. The people were still against us. Obviously not people from Wales, but other realms of media. A lot of English fans, a lot of Irish fans. I've been seeing a lot of things online. And that is why I wait a day to do a full review. I post my immediate post-game reaction and review while everything's still fresh and the emotions are still high. But then I take a day to decompress and I evaluate, I see what's going on, and then I assess. So let's just take a look at the game, shall we? Because my goodness. But before we take a look at the game, let me just first and foremost say I do wholeheartedly feel And I know this is going to come across as an odd based on the statements that he has made previously regarding Wales. But you have to feel for Eddie Jones. And I say that because I can kind of see where he's coming from, right? But obviously at the same time, you need results. That is why Wales got rid of Pivac at the end of the day. He wasn't producing. He wasn't able to muster the troops in the same way that we have seen Warren Gatland do. But from what I've been reviewing and seeing is that Australia Rugby Union for the Wallabies was and is kind of in a very, very similar situation to Wales. There seems to be or there was not the best system in place from grassroots to professional. A lot of lads, it seems, are playing Aussie rules and league over union. And so, unfortunately, in order for the Wallabies to produce and perform, there was going to have to be some changes. And so I just want to leave it there, but I do feel like some of the hatred towards Eddie Jones is unjust. I feel that obviously he does put it in for himself when he says these comments and these things, but at the end of the day, it's not only the coaches. It can't be just the coaches. That Wallabies team, yes, it was overall inexperienced in terms of like World Cup players and whatnot who have been there and done it before. But there was still test caliber Wallabies throughout that team. We know what Nawaku Tuase can do on the wing. Sorry if I butchered your name. We know what Karevi can do. And so there are these players there, but some of the players do have to step up. There was no dog in that fight. There was no fight in that dog, rather. Right? In the second half, they looked dejected, and that's on them. Yes, of course, there needs to be some sort of coaching input. But at the end of the day, as a player, I've never fortunately been on the receiving end of a thumping. I've been on the receiving ends of close losses multiple times. But at the end of the day, it's up here whether you want to actually fight or not. So it can't all be stemmed on Eddie Jones. I think there needs to be responsibility from the Wallaby actual player cohort. That's all I'm going to say on that matter. I really wanted to address that because I do feel like obviously it's a little bit, there are some very harsh comments and you're probably wondering, Ryan, why are you even commenting on this? Why are you even questioning it? And I just wanted to address it. That's all. So now let's talk about the game. Like I said, emphatic win, 40 points to 6, incredible game. Unfortunately, we didn't get a bonus point, but hey-ho, it is what it is. Half-time, Wales were only beating Australia 16 points to 6. In the second half, we put 24 points unanswered to win 40 points to 6 against the Wallabies. Incredible performance. Hats off to the boys. I couldn't have asked for a better game. It was outstanding. Gareth Anscombe, man of the match, 23 points from the boot. Incredible. I thought, as well as many others, when Dan Biggar went off, that it could be a shift in momentum. Gareth Anscombe has not played much rugby. He had a good-ish game against Portugal, but there were still some things that weren't quite there. Could that have been his inexperience around him? Possibly, because when he came on and he knew what job he had to do, he had to fill the role of Biggar and add some. He had Nick Tompkins outside him. He had George North outside him. He had Gareth Davis inside him. And then that Welsh, that sounded weird. Don't take it that way, but you know what I meant. Scrum half, 12 and 13, outside Anscombe. Just outstanding performance. George North, 8 carries over the gain line. Throughout the game, overall, Wales had 54% of the territory, 52% of the possession. Now, there wasn't much in terms of meters gained by either side whilst carrying the ball. But what was interesting is that the tactic, what we have seen Wales do successfully thus far, and it worked wonders, is that we are outstanding in defence. I would argue we are as fit as fiddles. And Warren Gatland has been correct. Wales are a hard team to beat. 836 metres kicked out of hands in comparison to 409 from Australia. We kicked and we kicked, we pinned them down, we chased hard, and we only gave away 9 penalties. Australia in double digits. Now, I could do a full in-depth analysis of, when the penalties were and what happened from it, but there's plenty of those videos already. I'm just giving my biased opinion here because there seems to still be that narrative out there where other YouTube channels, other social media platforms are still kind of writing Wales off and have been thus far. But here I am, as a proud Welshman, saying that keep doing it because it's adding fuel to the fire. And that performance, I think, was a big fuck you to those outlets, to those naysayers. It's been coming, right? It has been coming. I mean, the warm-ups, you can't really do anything with those warm-ups. But we put in a big win against Fiji. Now, I know a lot of people will say that Wales were fortunate to win that game. Fiji were unlucky, and I get it. Wales then put a bonus point performance against Portugal. Yes, it was last minute, but we had 12 changes in that match. And then we are coming full circle here against Australia and winning 40 points to 6. Now, like I said, let's not get ahead of ourselves. We still have a job to do. We still have to beat Georgia in order to qualify as top of this group. But I'm confident after that performance, we can do so. I rewatched the game. I rewatched the highlights. The first try, Gareth Davies, that set piece move was outstanding. When I first watched it live in that game, I did not think that it was Jack Morgan who broke through the line. I honestly, at first, thought it was either Josh Adams or Liam Williams based on the angle and the speed. And as any outstanding scrum half will do, Gareth Davies was right there in support. It was a set piece that they had clearly planned. They tried it initially on the other side of the field in like the first minute or so. Didn't quite work. Karevi wrapped up George North, but it was there. You could see it. And then the second time, coming on the other side, it clicked. And it first try, 3 minutes, boom. When Anscombe came on and Dan Biggar went off, I wasn't sure what to expect. Gareth Anscombe played his absolute socks off. In attack, now, believe it or not, I play fly half. I know what you're thinking. You are a flanker all day or an inside centre, and you are correct. But here in America, I play fly half. To come on and have to take charge. Now, from personal experience, in a playoff game in April, after breaking my ankle, it was my first game back. I put myself on the bench because I didn't quite feel ready enough to start. But after 30 minutes, unfortunately, the individual on my team who was playing fly half injured his knee. And so I was thrust into action, and we were looking a little bit sloppy. And I came on and I kind of helped steer and control the game. Gareth Anscombe did that emphatically, with abundance. He came up to the gain line constantly, kind of like a Finn Russell. It was outstanding. That little chip over the top for Tompkins to score was outstanding. His vision, he could see there was no fullback. Unbelievable set of skill. To do that, to read the defence immediately within, this is international level, right? If you've never played fly half, I don't know what, having defenders shooting up at you, and in order to quickly dink a little chip over the top like that for players to run through is quite an outstanding skill set. Trust me, try it. If play a game of rugby with 3 massive players opposite you blaring down at you and pull that off. Tompkins was incredible. I'm going to order a Saracens jersey in his homage. That's how good Nick Tompkins was yesterday and has been this World Cup so far. He's been outstanding. Nick Tompkins, if you ever see this video, I, as well as many other people in Wales, apologise. You have been fantastic, sir. And then to round off that performance with Captain Jack Morgan off the set piece. Any one of those forwards could have scored. I thought it would have been nice if Faletau did, to be honest, because he played outstanding as well. But when Basham reached up high and brought it down, and they got the rumble on, game over. Game, set, match. Incredible. Now look, as a fan of rugby as well, I know this video has been very much heavily focused on Wales. And I'm biased, of course. That's fine. I'm biased. I think there needs to be some bias here for Welsh rugby because the narrative over the past few months has been negative towards Welsh rugby. And so if I can... I had a comment on one of the channels. He said, look, be biased because every other YouTube channel is biased. You be biased as well. Now, I'm obviously going to try and be impartial here and there when I can. And I feel like I do, especially when talking about other games, for example. But in this instance, I'm gonna ride this wave because that performance was incredible. Let me know your thoughts below. Okay, let me know your thoughts below. Yeah, outstanding. That's all I can say, and I'm really looking forward to now seeing what can come of this side. And I have obviously because Wales are not playing now for 13 days. I have an interesting video that I'm going to put up between now and then, touching on the future of it. And I'm looking forward to that one. I saw it as an idea, and I want to do it. So that is coming soon. But to round off this video, are we seeing, ladies and gentlemen, the rise of now the Northern Hemisphere teams as a collective and slowly bridging the gap now between Northern Hemisphere teams and Southern Hemisphere teams? Obviously, we know France and Ireland are clear favourites at the moment, I think, for the World Cup. It's good to see DuPont possibly coming back with a superhero mask for the quarters. That will be good to see. Ireland obviously beating South Africa in a must-win game if they wanted to win top of that group. 13 points to 8. Clear issues with the box needing to find a kicker. They bring in Andre Pollard. Is that the help that they need? Scotland, bonus point win against Tonga. That game was ferocious. There were some big collisions in that game. Malachi Fakatawa sitting down a couple people. Duhan getting sat down as well, quite emphatically. I thought he almost had a HIA on that one, but he didn't. And then England putting 71 points on Chile, which was no surprise there, really. But I am really excited about the next Six Nations, because we now have a situation where it's almost anyone's game. Scotland on any day can beat any team in the world. Wales can beat any team in the world. Ireland can and have beaten every team in the world. France can. If England are on firing on all cylinders and they get their situation correct and they get their shit correct, I think they can. I think the team that England put out against Chile was quite brilliant. Marcus Smith at 15, Elliot Daly at outside centre, Arundel just incredible. But obviously, again, you're playing Chile, weaker opposition. So it'd be good to see that team up against, a tough opponent. But we'll see. But anyway, we have a good week of rugby coming up. Some must-win games. Italy playing New Zealand in a must-win game. Fiji having to win the next two games to ensure that they go through. So big games. Scotland still need to do a job if they hope to qualify from the pool of death. With South Africa and Ireland in that group as well. And it's going to be a fun week. I'm looking forward to creating more content surrounding the Rugby World Cup and in general. It's looking likely that I am due to go home in November. And I've been looking at the timetable for the URC. There's two games that I could possibly go and see. The Dragons being one of them, or Cardiff maybe. But there's also a Western Wales header between the Scarlets and Ospreys that I could go to. So I'm really looking forward to that as well. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to wrap up this video here. It's a long one. If you made it this far, comment Captain Jack the Lad if you made it this far. Thumbs up, subscribe for more content. I'm biased, I know. Wales played incredible. Subscribe, leave your comments. Wales through to the quarterfinals. Already. The Dragons are soaring, ladies and gentlemen. I draai goch. I am believing, and I think a lot of other people are as well. To be fair, it was never in doubt. It was never in doubt, but hey, we're not there yet. But the turmoil of this year, it's finally good to see some momentum going in Wales' favour. I look forward to catching you in the next video. Diolch Yn Fawr. Thank you very much.